Ready? You ready?
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's 6:30. We'll open the public comment period. Views expressed by individuals during the public comment period do not necessarily reflect the reviews of the city of Fremont and have not been verified for accuracy by the city. As a reminder, city council and staff are not permitted to respond to comments or questions during the public comment period in accordance with the Fremont Municipal Code, section 2-103. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes per person and shall not contain topics included in this evening's agenda. And I believe there's a sign-up sheet.
There was an individual that signed in, but her topic is on the agenda. So I
Oh.
visited with her about that and she'll come up at that time.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
Mhm. Mr. Mayor, we have a speaker, Brad Yerger.
State your name and address, please.
Brad Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street. Although I applaud Dev Sukram for his willingness to serve as Fremont's mayor, I feel compelled to speak directly to the procedures and lack of due process used in filling the mayoral vacancy. For the record, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe city officials did not adhere to the published agenda at their November 12th council meeting. The council president opened the meeting, conducted the Pledge of Allegiance, and called for the roll. Then a swearing in of the council president was into the mayor's position occurred. This action was not an official published agenda item. There were no point of order challenges to the deviation from the public agenda. The swearing in occurred before council accepted and approved the agenda item 1 regarding the outgoing mayor's resignation, which created the open position. There was no council or public comment afforded an opportunity. The lack of agenda for item for the swearing in of the new mayor runs counter to the process used on December 10th, 2024, when a separate agenda item called for the qualification and swearing in of a newly elected mayor. Since the council and most of its residents are not lawyers, it would have been great if the city's lawyers would have publicly explained the city's municipal code and state laws that address the mayoral vacancy matter. This did not happen. And in my opinion, the city's $500,000 law firm had a duty and ethical responsibility to present all available options to the council and the public before action was taken to replace the mayor. I encourage you to fact check my layman reading of the following. Fremont Municipal Code 204 states that the president of the council shall exercise the powers and duty of the office until the vacancy shall be filled. The last 6 words are key. They do not say the council president becomes the mayor for the duration of the unexpired term. Nebraska Statute 32568-2 mirrors the City Code 2-204 and neither state that the council president automatically becomes the mayor. Nebraska Statute 32568-3 then states when there's a vacancy in the office of the mayor of the city of the first class, the president of the city council shall serve for the unexpired term. But wait, this is not the end of the statutory story. Nebraska Statute 32569-2 provides that the mayor and council may, in lieu of filling a vacancy in a city elected office, such as provided in section 1 of this section or subsection 3 of 32568, shall call a special election to fill such vacancy. Thus, the vacancy filling options appear to be the council president can become the interim mayor until the mayoral vacancy is filled. The city council president can take over the unexpired mayoral term, or the outgoing mayor and city council may call for a special election to elect a mayor. Option 3 is clearly the best option, given the outgoing mayor was only 11 months into a 4-year term. The city doesn't need a repeat of the Mayor Edwards resignation debacle. Additionally, this option would appear to allow Mr. Sucrum to retain his council seat and the president's position while running for mayor. I believe the procedures used in filling the mayor's seat lacked proper public disclosure. The process failed to fully inform and counsel and foster public debate and well-reasoned decisions by the council. Moreover, the process appears to have potentially violated the Open Meetings Act with regards to agenda provisions. Thank you.
saves up a lot of the kitchen payoff. With
Mayor, next up is Ray Tuff.
Please state your name and address.
Ray Tuff, 323 West Fifth. Wasn't prepared to speak tonight, but the whole 500,000 a year just sparked in my mind. Of course, that's what we're paying for animal control, sheltering, and services as well. Is approximately $500,000 a year, with 240 with the sheltering contract, and every CSO, their average salary is approximately 35,000 with benefits, 49,000. So we are spending out extremely a lot, and tonight I should be pulling it off the consent agenda for these reports. And here we go on, once again, no report last month, no report this month. So we're paying these guys $20,000 a month, and they can't even tell us who's entering and exiting that shelter. It's getting worse, guys. I don't know what more we can do. Come up here and beg you guys. I mean, if we cannot get the shelter to provide reports, inaccurate reports, because the one in August that they provided, they pointed out that they made 22 mistakes to us right off the bat. That was what they showed us that they made as mistakes. And I'll remind you that all animal control software is basically run the same, and it's one click of a button. There is no Google Docs. There is no entering anything in the computer and the only reason I can think someone would want to do that, something like that, is to hide something. So fast forwarding a couple years, we're still nowhere near providing proper animal control services and sheltering. We need to do something, guys. Please stop wasting the money. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public comment period. It's 7 o'clock. Meeting's called to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now open the city council regular meeting and call it to order. Time is now 7 p.m. The Open Meeting Act is posted on the back wall of the agendas, and a complete copy of the agenda and backup is available on the table in the center of the room. I'll now take roll call.
Seven members are present, Mayor.
Okay, mayor's comments. There will be no discussion from council or public regarding the comments made by the mayor. Should anyone have any questions regarding the comments, please contact the mayor after the meeting. We do have service awards today. I have Daniel Rezenchek, 40 years of service. Dan started the Department of Utilities in 1985 as a utility worker and a maintenance mechanic. From 1990 to 2003, he worked as a steam plant operator 1 and 2. In 2003, he was promoted to maintenance supervisor position. In 2013, he was promoted to assistant power plant superintendent, and he was promoted to his current position as power plant superintendent in 2022. Scott Kufal, 10 years. Started with the Department of Utilities in 2015 as a power plant mechanic 1. In 2019, he was promoted to power plant mechanic 2 position. Alan Casper, 10 years. Alan started with the Department of Utilities in 2015 as a director of electrical engineering. In 2024, his title changed to Director of Transmission and Distribution to include supervision and distribution of the department. Michael Buster, 10 years. Michael started with the Department of Utilities in 2015 as a wastewater plant operator. In 2018, he was promoted to the wastewater plant operator 2 position. He was recently promoted to the wastewater plant operator 3 position. Zachary Carr, 5 years. Zachary started with the Department of Utilities in 2020 as a wastewater plant operator. In 2024, he's promoted to the wastewater plant operator 2 position. Jackson Shepard, 5 years. Jackson has been with the city of Fremont since 2020 as a police officer. Dan, if you want to come up and get your, give Dan a round of applause, please. Thank you. Yeah. And that's all I have for the mayor's comments. We'll go to item 1. Motion to adopt the current agenda for the November 25th, 2025 regular city council meeting. Anything from staff or council?
Yeah, I'd like to, I believe there's a number of people here to, with particular interest in item 18. I'd like to move that up and we'll hear that right after item 2.
It's right after 2.
Yes.
Okay. I'll take a motion. I'm sorry. You worried about Travis?
No,
Oh.
that's the least of my worries.
You were looking at him. Is there anything else?
I'll second.
Who made the motion? Mark did, okay. Second is by Blair. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
I'll take a motion as amended.
I'll make the motion to adopt the current agenda as amended.
Okay, motion by Jensen. Second,
Second?
can't see it on here. Okay. Second by Vaughn. Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Okay, item number 2, resolution 2025-296, authorizing the Fremont Transit Program to implement a flex route, increase ride fees, and apply for replacement ADA accessible minivan. Staff?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Angie Olson, Grant Coordinator. And
Dakota Transit Manager.
so we are having a public hearing tonight for a few things regarding transit. And the first item that we have is a proposed flex route. The transit program does provide a lot of rides between what's known as the Fremont Towers and Walmart for groceries and other items. And by consolidating the rides, we're able to optimize our ride service. So that's one of the items on the public hearing. And then we have 2 fee increases throughout the year. So one taking place in January. The second is proposed to take place in August. That is based on what other transit programs in the state are doing. There's more transit programs throughout Nebraska. So although the federal funds are still there, the piece of the pie that Fremont receives is not quite as big as what it could be. And so with that in mind, and knowing that one of our core values is fiscal responsibility to the taxpayers of Fremont, we're proposing a few increases to those as detailed in your staff report. And the last item is for a replacement van for one of the minivans that we originally purchased and used from ENOA when we kicked off the program. And we don't know for sure if we will get that, but as part of the application process, we need to have a public hearing in order to fill out the application. So that is really one of the core things that kicked off our public hearing tonight. And Dakota and I are here to answer any questions.
I was curious about the,
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
I was just curious about the, I think the scheduled route looks like a good idea. I just reading through here, it says something about deviating up to a mile for passenger pickup. What would that look like? I mean,
So in order to be, so Nebraska Transit has a few opportunities for routes, and one is a fixed route, a flex route, or door-to-door service, which is what we're currently providing. And we don't want it to be a fixed route because that would mean that we can only go to the towers and Walmart and back again. That's it. So we're really kind of limiting. Now, NDOT proposed that we do a flex route so that if someone's, a few blocks off that path, then transit could swing by, pick them up, and then carry on to Walmart. So again, the idea is consolidating rides.
Councilwoman Gannon?
No, I just had a question. We're asking to replace a minivan that we purchased, and we've been in the transit business for several years at this point now.
These were used vans that we purchased from ENOA, 2 to 3 years ago when we started the program. So they were already used when we purchased them, and Dakota could probably talk a little bit about the use and mileage.
Yes, so once a vehicle surpasses 150,000 miles in the state size, it's met its useful life. We currently have 2 minivans that are over 150,000 miles.
And when the notice, the public hearing notice says replacement vans, those really are replacement vans that we're requesting from the state. So essentially, if they didn't review our application and see a need for those to be replaced, then they would reject that application.
Thank you.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. I sent you, Dakota, I shot you an email, earlier, not sure if you saw it or not, but, I am curious. I know it's not a large dollar amount increase, but my guess is, and I'm not being judgmental here, but my guess is folks that are using this service, that buck increase will probably be felt. So I'm just wondering if there's any opportunities that you guys have to maybe come up with some ways for doing some sponsorships or anything like that. I don't know. There is one corporate name that's mentioned in here. I don't know if they'd be willing to sponsor a flex route or anything like that, or if it's even allowed, but I don't know if that's something that you guys would be willing to look into, or if we're
So-
even allowed to do it.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So we are allowed, and we have had sponsorships in the past, and the transit program works with a task force. Dakota works with them really closely. And that is one of the things that they do is help us fundraise. The transit program has increased in cost. Now that we've been running it 2 years, we know the cost of the program. It's about 5 times more. It's been really, really successful, but it's about 5 times more than we initially thought when we were kind of estimating, and we're just rolling out this program. So because of that, is, one of the reasons why we're doing the increase along with the other communities doing the same thing. But we are asking the task force to also look at sponsorships, look at donations like they've done in the past. And we also work with United Way. Since the start of the program, we have marketed that if cost is an issue for anyone, that they can reach out to United Way and work with them on funding. And I did reach out to Shayla, the executive director there, before this meeting tonight. And they, although I know Dakota has referred people there, they have never had anyone go through the process of applying for funds for transit there. So it is an opportunity. We haven't had anyone take advantage of it at this time.
Councilman Von Baron?
I'd just like to, I've said it before, but I would like to again repeat my thanks and support for the program. This is a key program. I think one of the marks of a city is how well it takes care of its most disadvantaged people. And this, for a number of people that I know who use this service, it's not an option, it's essential. They literally have no other options. So what you're doing, in my view, is a great service to the community. I thank you for it. Very much appreciate it.
Any other comments? I'll open the public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Yes. Do we have somebody? That's okay. Yeah, please state your name and address.
I'm Sharon West from 8302 County Road 15. I am the Resident Support Service Coordinator at Fremont Housing Authority. So I work with the Stanton and Gifford Towers, but we also serve the townhomes on East 29th Street, Niagara Road. And all of those are affordable tax credits, but we do serve those. Of the 217 households at Stanton and Gifford, only 94 of those have vehicles. So the need for the transit is very obvious. 72% of our residents are over 60 years old, and 119 of them are living below the federal poverty guidelines of 15,650. So the need for public transportation is great at the towers. The flex routes suggested could meet a lot of the needs of our residents who have problems at the first of the month, especially. Most of our residents get their Social Security around the 3rd or the later of the month of around the 25th, but their rents are due by the 5th. So getting transit and making sure they have a ride is really important. And many need to make this trip to their bank or Walmart to get their money orders. The larger van would be able to accommodate more at a time, and should help make these trips more available to all those needing in the Fremont area. And we look forward to working with Fremont to Go Transit to help our residents. And I thank you for listening to our residents. I have been pushing Dakota for this for a while, so it's very good to hear this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on this? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any more comments from council? Councilman Horner?
I don't have any more comments, Mayor. If there are no other comments, I was going to make a motion that we pass and approve resolution 2025-296.
Motion by Horner, second by Ganem.
I second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
We'll go to item 18. Item 18, resolution 2025-302, funding request from Care Corps Lifehouse. Staff report.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Angie Olson, Grant Coordinator. So at the last meeting, I came with some Keno awards that were approved by council. And in that discussion, we talked about Lifehouse and food security needs in Fremont. And so tonight, as requested, I've brought forth a staff report and a consideration for City Council approving emergency funding for urgent food security needs with Lifehouse. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Any comments from council? Councilman Jensen?
No questions, really. I just want to thank you for bringing this forward. I think I spoke on this when you first brought it up, and I appreciate the timeliness in getting it back.
Yeah, just a little reminder after some of the things that Omaha had done. That was one of the reasons why Councilmember Jensen brought up the request. I've been working with Lifehouse, and they have provided some documentation that's included in your packet. There's a lot of information and details included. The ones that I kind of circled detail the food needs and the increases that they've been seeing.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Angie, thanks for bringing this forward. And I'm in full support of this. Okay, but I do have some questions, and I've got a concern that I think is important to voice, at least from council. You know, the need is great in the city, no matter where you go. I mean, the need is great in the world, no matter where you go, but the need in Fremont is also great. And, you know, we are funding a nonprofit, or the proposal here is that we fund the nonprofit with Keno grants outside of the normal process. And I'm fine with doing this, but where do we draw the line, or is there a way to draw a line? And I mean, this is a special circumstance, but I think if I were on that other side, I could come up with a lot of special circumstances myself and make the ask. So that's my concern. That's just my one big concern I have with us going down this road.
Yeah, I think that staff would tend to agree. We'd certainly get a lot of requests for partnerships, collaborations, and funding. So it is something that we considered talking internally as staff. The idea that this is unprecedented. I mean, it's just very unusual times. SNAP benefits were going through some turmoil and some difficulties. So again, the numbers are included in the backup of the increase that they're seeing. Also included in the staff report is, you know, kind of to address some of your concerns. I feel like we also wonder, where do you draw the line if we fulfill requests like this? And so that's why I've included that if there are other food pantries, anything like that comes to the city requesting funds, we would ask them to work with Lifehouse and say that's where the funding went. So please work with them and collaborate and see how you can leverage those funds.
Councilman Von Baron?
Just one question, Angie. In light of the need, can you quantify what $10,000 does? Can we quantify it in terms of meals? I know that's a moving number. Can you just give us an idea of how much need that does satisfy?
So I can't, but I do know that Lifehouse is here, so they could probably answer
That'd
that.
be fine. If they would, public comment.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Please state your name and address.
Julie Sleister, 2819 Douglas Drive. $10,000 if we were just using that, that funding to provide actual meals. We figure things at about $3.25 a meal. So that would be about 3,075 meals that it would provide.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Lathrop?
It's not so much a question, but I just wanted to comment that I see the need as I drive to work, as people are lined up outside of the food pantry. They line up hours before it even opens. And this isn't just on nice sunny days. This is any day. So I think that this will just really help serve those in need at this time.
Anybody else? I'll take comments from the public. Seeing none, I'll come back to council. Councilman Jensen?
If there's no further comment, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-302.
Councilman Vaughn?
And I will second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
All right, we'll go to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussions of these items unless council members, staff, or a citizen so requests, which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Anything coming off from council or staff? Councilman Von Baron?
Number 5, please.
Number
Just
5.
a quick comment.
Anyone from the public?
Red Yeager, 2318 East Fifth Street. I'd like to remove item 3 for discussion.
3? Okay, I'll take a motion on the consent agenda minus items 3 and 5. Councilman Jensen,
So moved.
Councilman Horner,
I'll second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Item 3, motion to dispense with the approved November 12, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes. Report from staff.
These are the draft November 12th, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes. I can take any questions on these.
Anything from council? Take public comment on it.
To start with, I'd like to commend the city clerk for the diligence that's put into doing the minutes. I appreciate the detail that's contained. I was at the last council meeting present, and I've watched the video of this meeting multiple times for other reasons. I believe these minutes are in need of 3 corrections to be in accordance with what actually transpired at the meeting. The first one is that the council president called the meeting to order. He wasn't the mayor at the time. That's the first correction. So the meeting was called to order at 7 o'clock by the council president. The second one is that it says that the mayor stated that there's a copy of the open meetings law posted on the back. That actually wasn't, it's normally correct, but not correct for this meeting. This was actually brought to the attention by legal counsel at this meeting. I'm sure it won't be that way in the future, but it was that way at this last meeting. And the third and most important one, I believe, is the absence of the fact that there's nothing contained in these minutes that references the agenda item or the non-agenda item, if you will, that dealt with swearing in the council president as the new mayor. There was an oath given after the Pledge of Allegiance and the roll call vote. And after that, there was an immediate moval to swearing in council president as the mayor. Seems pretty important to have that logged as a piece of history in our minutes. I urge you to correct the minutes for those 3 items so that they accurately reflect what went on at the meeting, which can be verified by the video of the meeting for that night. Thank you.
Anybody else? Close the public hearing. Council? Councilman Vaughn?
Question for legal, any concerns?
Well, I suppose technically I did point out that the Open Meetings Act is in the rear of the council chambers. By operation of statute, Mayor Sukram became mayor at the time of resignation of Mayor Spellerberg, which I believe was May 5th. So he was mayor during this meeting, and as far as the ceremonial, November 5th, excuse me. And as far as the ceremonial swearing in, if we want to reference it, I'm fine with that. I think the intent was to have the ceremony take place in front of family. So Linda mentioned that a swearing in ceremony took place. I don't mind either.
Councilman Von Buren?
Yeah, just listening to those they appear to be just simple clerical things, I think, that would probably clarify the minutes. There are no objections. I'd simply move that we adopt the changes and edit the minutes as noted.
I have
What this as suggested by.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
As the way I stated, because there was one suggestion that Mayor Sukram was not the mayor at the start of the meeting, which that's incorrect. But the other 2, I don't mind.
All right, I'm fine with that as amended.
I have a motion by Von Buren amended.
I'll second as amended with the correction that was just stated. That was, I had my finger on the button, and that was my issue was, as I understood it, that, and I know we had already had this discussion, as I understood it, as I believe it to be, that Dev or the president had become mayor at the moment of resignation by statute. So I think that part is correct, but I would second for the other amendments.
I have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Now we need to make a vote on minutes as amended. Councilman Horner?
I will make a motion on the minutes as amended.
Councilwoman Gannon?
I second.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Okay, item 5, motion to authorize the mayor to renew the lease agreement with Midland University at Mueller Field for a term of 5 years. Staff report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Nick Hanson, Parks and Rec Director. This is our lease agreement with Midland. They use Mueller Field. We had a lease with them for 10 years. Now it has expired, and we're looking to renew it for another 5 years. Midland has looked at it. Our legal has looked at it. We all agreed. Open for questions.
Questions from council? Councilman Von Baron?
Now, my comment really has nothing to do with the formal lease, Nick. I really have no problem with it. A constituent called me and he was barbing me somewhat, but he said, given the number of properties we own in this city, why don't we just sell it? Well, I think that's beyond the scope of anything we're discussing here, but it did bring up a topic again. It would be good as a council to, I know we've talked about the topic of unsold properties or properties that are not being used. And his question and his barb and his good-natured jab made me think about that one. And I think it's just a good opportunity to remind ourselves it would be good at some point in the future, in the near future, hopefully, to take a look at the number of properties that we do own that may not be used and might be saleable. So thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
Councilman Horner?
Hold up. Just one quick question. A 10-year lease, is it normal for one of, maybe this is more for legal, but is it normal for one of our leases? Most of the time when I see leases like this, they will carry some, not automatic, but definitely some options for extensions. Is that not the case with our leases?
This was a lease for an extra 5 years.
Okay, so this is an option that they are asking for. So it's already part of the lease. It's not a new lease. All right, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? All right, I'll open the public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. I'll take a motion in this regard. Councilman Horner?
I will make a motion that we approve. I'm not looking at the motion here, but the release of Mueller Field to Midland.
Motion by Horner, second by Von Baer.
Second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Okay. Moved on to unfinished business. Item 11, ordinance 5730, updating Unified Development Code UDC of the city of Fremont, Nebraska. Final reading. Yeah.
Sorry, I was not preparing to do a staff report. I thought Charlie was going to do it online, so. But this is the third and final reading of the UDC. There's been a lot of discussion and amendments across the path here. So we look forward to doing that, and see Charlie has joined us to present that. We know that not everything is going to be perfect, nor are any of our ordinances ever are. It's truly the case with the UDC and the zoning and the subdivision. So we will review that with the Planning Commission, and as things come up, come back with amendments as needed. With that, I'll turn it over to Charlie.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Can you hear me okay there?
Yep.
Okay. I don't have much to add. What you saw in the updated packet includes all of the updates from the motion that was made at the last meeting. All of those edits are included in the packet of information, as well as a clean version of the UDC with those changes as well, without any of the markup and strike throughs. Obviously, that would get, once adopted, would then get folded into the online code system, so it would look a little different in the online code system. The zoning map as well was updated based on the comments at the last meeting as well, and that is included in your information as well. So happy to answer any questions you have or other comments, but other than that, there was nothing else I had to report.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know that this is necessarily a question for you, Charlie. It's more of a procedural question. Actually, I have two questions, but the first one is a procedural question. Anything that we don't address tonight, and assuming that this, let's make the assumption that it gets approved and moves forward on third reading. Anything that we think we're going to be working on going forward is going to have to go through the regular process. Am I correct? It's going to have to go back through planning, then come back to council, correct?
That's correct. You're asking me.
Okay, all right, thank you. So then that leads me to my next question. We did talk quite a bit at the last meeting about the external ADU and increasing the size of the square footage on that. I didn't see that in here. And I'm wondering if that was just an oversight or was there a reason we left it out?
There was no motion made to make that change. We did remove the internal ADU references. All references to internal ADUs are removed. But that was not included in the motion for change at the last meeting.
Councilman Von Baron?
And to follow up on that, there's been quite a bit of discussion between several members in the last week. For those of you who are listening, ADUs are auxiliary dwelling units. And one of the topics of discussion, they can be done in several ways. For example, if a family has an elderly parent or someone needing a place to stay, and rather than getting them a separate facility, my understanding is we have the option to provide for them on the premise. One of the options is a detached backyard, if you want to call it that, dwelling unit. And one of the questions that came up was, okay, so if we have the ability now to build those, does that also give us the ability to rent them and turn Fremont into a kind of a backyard rental community? And just for clarity, I met with Jeff, gave me a lot of time yesterday and helped me understand that. I think we have a fair number of safeguards in place. My concern was that if ADUs caught on large scale as rentals, they can fundamentally change the character of a neighborhood through traffic and people and noise, and somebody who bought a single family residence in good faith might all of a sudden find himself in the middle of a number of rental units that he didn't expect. Anyway, for right now, Jeff, I appreciate your time because it sounds like we have enough safeguards in place generally not to let that happen because it would affect the character of the community. At the same time, there is a need for these. I would just encourage the council over time to just keep an eye on this. I cannot see at this point any means by where it would get out of hand or detract from the community. But it's just one of those things as economics get tougher. One of the translations of needing affordable housing is that we have people that can't afford our housing. And I think one of the long-term implications of that, of course, is to focus on jobs as best we can, bringing jobs to the community that literally can afford our housing. So there's a need on both sides, but I appreciate all the conversation that's gone on. Jeff, I appreciate your time. And it's just something I think we need to keep an eye on in the future.
Any more comments? Any comments from the public on this?
Brad Yeager, 2318 East Fifth Street. Follow-up question to the discussion that was just being had, and I readily admit I haven't been privy to all the back room discussions associated with these changes that were just brought to our attention about these detached facilities, but I am wondering whether or not there was a discussion about the impervious coverages that those take. I can remember it wasn't too many years ago, there was a lot of consternation about detached garages and their size and their limitations, and even storage sheds as to how much you could put on your property. And so in the discussion of this particular item that has just been discussed here, has that been a discussion for you as a council as to how much of open lot space you are going to allow or restrict? I don't know what the answer to that is. My other question, and that I had hoped that perhaps Councilman Horner would elaborate on this evening, was the amendment that he had to change the residential zoning in Sunridge from R2 to R3. There was no discussion at the last meeting when that amendment was made, and I'm curious as to the changes in the permitted uses, limited uses, conditional uses that go along with an automatic change from R2 to R3. I think your comments had more to do with the size of the lots, perhaps, and the concerns that were being raised there. My concerns go to when you go from R2 to R3, there are differences in what is limited, conditional, and permitted in those two zones. And I didn't hear any discussion on the expansion that you gain by going to R3. I'm curious as to what those are, because when the Sunridge was originally platted, there was a lot of neighborhood consternation about the AR, UR, and SR zones at the time, UR being the one that was most heavily dense and populated with row homes and apartments, et cetera, et cetera. And to the extent that some of that falls into R3 today and wouldn't have fallen into R2, then I have some concerns I'd like for you to address relative to that going through with a change. A few years ago, there were changes made to the UDC, and there was something that was referred to when I was on council as the Holy Grail. It was the conversion process that was done, I think, in large measure solely by the planning director to recognize the change in zones that would translate under the UDC from the original R1 to R4 into the SR, AR, UR, and plan development. During that time, there were sections of the city that were changed to plan development without any real discussion mitigating the need for anyone to come to the planning commission or council for rezoning associated with that, because they were translated in the Holy Grail to be permitted. I would like not to see that kind of thing happening again in the translation of the UDC. And so this request from going to R2 to R3, which opens up the kinds of things that you can actually put now in that subdivision that weren't perhaps allowed under the what would have been translated to R2. I'm interested if you could identify any of those things and if you're willing to share that with the public. Thank you.
Anybody else here for this? Close the public hearing and go back to Councilwoman Lathrop.
I'd like to elaborate a little bit on the change of zone out in Sunridge. I started back on planning and then was elected as a council member. But I do know in that whole process that development was rezoned at one time, and some of that was rezoned as R2 and some was R3. And it's a change just to make it all R3, so their development fits in there. We did an extensive affordable housing study, and all of the houses platted in that area will fit in the R3 zoning.
Councilman Horner?
All I would do is put a little bit of a fine tune on what Lori just said, is that Sunridge development, or the Sunridge Place development, in talking with the owners there, they had expressed that they felt like the original dual zone for that portion, for the residential portion out there, was already incorrect. They had already been approved, they had already been platted, and then to change then from that, whatever it was, AR and UR to R2 and R3 was then going to create non-conforming parcels out there that would no longer conform under the R2. This had been brought up multiple times, slipped through the cracks, whatever. It shows up on the map again, and I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not blaming. It's a very arduous and tedious process. But we were at reading 2, and I felt like it was time to make the amendment to make that change, because it truly is an R3 and nothing is going to change. It's already platted. The lots are already platted. It's already been approved. All this is doing is making the zone, or not even making the zone, but just acknowledging what we've already approved and making it correct so that you don't have this artificial non-conforming situation out there. That's all that was. So that was, to me, just more of an admin function than anything else. Also, while I've got the floor, I do have an amendment if we're getting ready on this one. Yeah. All right, then what I would like to do is I would like to amend the external ADU to a maximum of 800 square feet allowable. Of course, all other criteria will have to be met, such as impervious coverage, setbacks, all of those, for each of those, you know, so you would have to look at each lot, as I understand it, on a lot by lot basis for the owner making the request. And it would have to meet all of those, but if the lot would handle the 800 square feet and still meet all of those other requirements, then I am recommending that we allow it to go to 800. Is that acceptable to you, Jeff, the 800?
I agree with
It's-
the 800.
Can I jump in, Jeff?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, it's actually already regulated, the size of it, of a detached accessory dwelling. It looks like here in, section 11515B, we have the maximum size of detached accessory dwelling shall be 650 square feet or 75% of the gross floor area of the principal dwelling, whichever is the less. So, it's already regulated at 650 max. If you're wanting it to go up to 800, then that, yeah, that would be an amendment. But if the objective was to limit the size
No.
to
The
be
amend-
lower.
Nope. The
Okay,
amendment is to move it to 800.
okay, just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Again, Jeff Ray, I agree with the 800 square feet. It does allow us a little bit more flexibility on those larger lots, particular where you're able to still continue to meet all of those setbacks and those impervious requirements. That'll allow you to build more of a 2-bedroom type ADU. So I think it does allow some additional flexibility. At 800 is a fairly common maximum square footage for ADU ordinances throughout the state and region.
Have a motion from Horner. Second from Vaughn.
Yes, second.
Cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Then I'll need a motion on ordinance 5730 as amended. Motion by Horner, excuse me,
I will make that motion on 5740. Isn't that it?
as amended, yep.
As amended. Thank you.
Mark,
That's 5730.
5730 as amended. I will second that.
all right, cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
You want to make a comment? Councilwoman Lathe?
Ordinance number 5730, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, amending ordinance number 5427 as it pertains to Unified Development Code update, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Final reading.
Councilwoman Lathrop?
Of course, I just need to make one final comment on this, but this UDC has been a long time coming. I have worked on it. I was thinking today, probably 4 or 5 years now, from the very beginning. I want to thank everybody who was involved, starting with Jennifer. She did a great job bringing this forth and working with it. You know, when we initially said, whoa, we need to put the brakes on, she listened to that. You know, it was a lot of input, a lot of discussion from the very first day to tonight. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been part of this, and woohoo, we got it through.
Thank you. You have to read it first? Yeah, okay. All right, we'll make a motion for final vote. Councilman Horner?
I will make a motion for, to approve third and final reading.
Okay. Okay.
We didn't. Yep, we did. That motion carries 7-0. Mayor, ordinance number 5730 is approved.
We'll move on to new business. Item 12, motion to receive an update from FGMA on satellite fire station design. Chief?
Todd Burns, Fire Chief. Yep. We started this process back in June when we first brought them on board. So we're 5 months into the project. So right here, hopefully we got Brandon Harden. He's our project manager with FMGA Architects. So I'll turn it over to him.
Yeah, hi, Chief. Thanks for the introduction there. Thanks to, or happy to be on again virtually with y'all. Can you hear me okay on your end?
Yes.
Okay. So I will share my screen, and I didn't hear exactly all of Chief's intro to this, but I thought I'd recap exactly where we kind of were in the process and where we are now. So what you're seeing on my screen right now is kind of the last phase we were in. Sorry about my voice here. I'm fighting a bit of a cold, but the last phase was programming, as it's called. And within programming, we developed this, what's on my screen now, the Space Needs Program. That's really just a listing of spaces and square footages of spaces. And then we like to make our own kind of notes of adjacency of where the spaces want to fall within the space, what needs to outfit the space and equipment, furniture, those types of things. And it's really just a listing of the rooms, making sure our data is accurate of what's going to fit in the space. It really is just that, though. It gives us an idea, a rough idea of what the total project and footprint may look like, but it does not actually put together a concept plan. So what we've done in this next phase, and I'm going to try and make this a little easier to see here. Let's go to the full screen. Okay. Is now entering the schematic design phase, or we're completing the schematic design phase, I should say. What you see on the screen now is the concept plan that I believe there's boards and also within your packet of the same on screen. You see at the bottom here, the floor plan diagram D.2, that's indicative of quite how many concept plans we studied with the chief. So we took those space needs programs, those listings of spaces, and created concept plans and adjacencies of those actual rooms. So I believe we had 4 versions initially. This is kind of a second version of one of those 4 that we fell upon. And this is the approved concept plan, working with the fire department and chief of where we wanted to go. So this is floor plan only at this point. You will see here in a little bit some of the massing concepts, kind of the 3D elements of what this thing can look like. as a station. That's where we're kind of taking it next. But this was the agreed upon layouts. I don't need to kind of go through everything here, but just know kind of towards the south end. And this plan is indicative kind of north to being towards the top of the page here. The building entry would be towards Johnson Road to the east here. But the living, bunk wing, and day room, kitchen, dining component, all kind of towards the south end. Bridging between the apparatus bay, all what we kind of call the apparatus support spaces, the gear lockers, the decon washing areas for those gear lockers, those types of things. And then the apparatus bay, which has now become a 3-bay fire station, and outboard of the apparatus bay being a hose tower element. Let me go to the next page here. So all we're looking at here is that same concept plan. Now that plan outline is the kind of dark gray box there. This should give you some kind of indication on kind of a conceptual site plan of where we're looking to site the building. Like I said, the front door in this concept here would be right about where my hand cursor is. Like I said, towards Johnson Road. The access out of the fire station would be onto Johnson Road, just down from the intersection of Johnson and Military Avenue. We are looking at a drive-through lane on the site for ease of return, or also a lane back in from Military Avenue as it may serve. Visitor parking in the front and plan to be security perimeter fenced staff parking around the rear. What we're excited about in this siting is pushing it towards the north of the site. We certainly have enough site for the station. That's not a concern. But we like the idea of the building towards the north, as does the chief and the fire department, with the prominence of that hose tower probably being the tallest element on the site in the building, and just what that kind of opportunity can lend itself for having a strong visual impact for this station and a kind of a monumental building for the city as a whole. What we like to do in the schematic design process here is start to study a code plan as well. I don't believe this is in the agenda packet. This is just the same floor plan you just looked at. It's just my team's starting interpretation of building use groups and areas, and travel distances, egressing, all that, just to make sure that our interpretation of the code aligns with the city's. So my next step would be taking this to your code officials as well, and sitting down and making sure we kind of review and have a good lockstep interpretation of what we're looking at for code review for this building. And then kind of exciting views here to share. What you're seeing here, like I said, these are two options of what that concept plan could look like in a 3-dimensional or building massing form. So we've put together option 1. You see on the top of the screen, these are both kind of from the same view. This would be out kind of almost towards the Johnson Road military intersection, looking back towards the project. But so here in both cases, to the right of both images, you see the hose tower. And again, kind of that element that I said, that the hierarchy of that hose tower and the significance that it can present and have for the building is a nice anchor. Everything kind of steps down to the human scale of what the living side would be from there. If I go one more view, this is looking at both options from more of a bird's eye view. This again gives you that orientation of where you're at with the roads and kind of the site. Really only difference between two options here, we're looking at the concept plan of putting the weight room facility or the exercise room on a second floor level in all the concept floor plan options. The only difference would be in option 1 is where this exercise room would actually kind of straddle and be a bridge element across the upper portion of the apparatus bay. It would utilize both the stair tower in the hose tower itself and a internal stairwell to access that exercise room. In option 2, the exercise room is more standardly just over the apparatus bay support spaces as a second floor element, accessed by a single interior stair, but does present a usefulness of possibility to have a outside kind of patio or terrace off of that exercise space. So these are, I think, newer views. This is what is to the chief and his staff and building committee to kind of study and give us the guidance in terms of which direction we want to go with the massing. But for now, we know we're locked into this as the building plan and what we're going to be moving forward. So it doesn't mean there's not going to be little minor tweaks as we develop the rooms and spaces the next step further. But this is largely the locked in floor plan. And going back to what the program had alluded to, that our possible square footage may be in the range of, I believe it was 13,600-ish. We actually found a little bit of economy and are just under 13,500 square feet with this footprint area for this fire station. Gosh, sorry, I'm losing my voice here, but that's really where we're at in the stage and phase. So that means we're at the tail end. If I go to the schedule here that we've put together. So we're here for the share with the council. This would put us at the end of the schematic design phase and ready to move into what we call the design development phase. That's where we really are going to start putting much more detail into each one of those rooms. The rendering massing views, both inside and out, will become more dynamic. We'll start talking about finishes and materials and applying those materials as they get selected into those views themselves. So you'll, at the end, if we do this again, at the end of design development phase, you'll see those same 3D views, much more developed, much more look a true artistic rendering version of what the final station will be. Because then after the design development phase, it's really our longest document phase, what we call construction documents. That's taking all the info gathering that we got in schematic design, all the development of the rooms and spaces and building systems within this design development, and then kind of heads down and putting true biddable documents together so that we can go out for bid at the end of construction document phase. If all stays on schedule, we would be looking at a bidding phase sometime in mid to late summer of 26 for bidding. But that's also going to be a little bit determinant from here forward with the construction manager that's on board as well. So I can go back to any views, or I can kind of pause there and just open for any questions that you guys may have.
Comments from council? Councilman Peterson?
And I'm probably way early with this question. And by the way, these are very impressive. I think it's I'm just excited for what's to come. So
yeah,
either way, but beautiful and very needed. I'm just basing this on recently we had to make it upcharge when we did our highway improvements on Highway 30. And because the soil was subpar, we had to bring in something else. And so I know from years past doing construction, there's a lot of gumbo on the east side of Fremont. So I would hope that, so we don't get caught with our pants down on this project, we would maybe do some really serious core samples before we start. Because there'll be, no matter what, how deep, whatever, there's going to be a lot of excavation done out there. So I would say, I wouldn't want to have somebody come back and say, well, there's another $400,000.
Yeah.
We needed this, So that's all. I'm all
Absolutely
for it, full steam ahead. I think it's wonderful, but I just want to make sure we don't get caught with our pants down on that one. That's my only comment. Thanks
yeah,
for all
no,
your
so
hard work. Thank you.
Good comments. And just to kind of expound on that, the soil borings have, I believe, taken place already. I just don't know that we've seen that, what they put together in the geotechnical report, they call it, that should start giving us some of that subsurface answers. But I do know that those, I think, was a little bit determinant on the end of the growing season there and not disrupting as much. But I do believe the borings have taken place. We have already finished the survey of the property as well. So those are two kind of upfront, behind the scenes works that are ongoing. So yeah, we are anxious to see what those boring reports do. As you know, as I go to here, I believe, we did probably, memory serves, about 6 borings around the site too. Hopefully that hits anything and everything that we may see in terms of, bad soils or things like that. At least it should give us some expectation. Do know it can very well happen if borings are so many feet apart that there could be a real trashy area of soil or bad soils that somehow slips between all of that. You don't want to take so many borings that you're spending money forever. But we do want to get enough of those that we can have our best look at kind of those expectations of what we may have to remediate on the site for sure. for sure.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Just, either one of you that can answer this, I just wanted to ask the question. You know, I look at the traffic flow map. I don't know, that one's not up there right now, but you know, that's an area that you can have some periodic congestion from schools and everything. Have you guys given that some thought on how you might handle that whenever, if there's an emergency call and you've got, you know, quite a bit of traffic out there on Johnson? I know
Yeah.
it's short term and everything, but if those two instances collide.
Oh, definitely. And I believe there was a traffic study. We had Shive Hettery a couple years ago did a traffic study for that area. And they came back that we made sure that they were out there during the busy times when school early and late doing their traffic study. And they came back that it wasn't really needed to be widened at this point, but they do recommend it in the near future, at some point in the future. Once we get the satellite going, when it's a true satellite station, we may only have one or two pieces of apparatus out there. We probably won't decide how many apparatus we have out there until the second station, the main headquarters, is finally built and we can start moving people around. And some of the things that we're going to be doing is looking at our call volume and determine some of the busy areas. We just want to make sure that the town is appropriately covered. So when we start doing the analyzing that data, we're going to make sure that we have the right vehicles out at that area. So if you see this is only a 3-bay, but it may not be used all 3 bays at once. We try to future-proof this station as much as possible because this is going to be a 70, 75-year station. So some of the planning that went into this is looking 40 years down the road, what's going to be out there. We're going to be seeing a Port Authority going out there. We're going to see some significant growth going out that area in sometime in the near future, you know. So we're going to be looking at that data and really starting off, we may only have an ambulance. We may have an engine. We may have both an engine and an ambulance out there. So some of the vehicles in the early stages will be limited.
Councilman Von Baron?
Just a quick question on overall traffic flows. It's probably been addressed elsewhere, but for example, fire emergency 3:15 in the afternoon. What happens with school traffic? I'm sure that provision's been made. Can you just brief outline of how that's handled?
We can actually, once we get into a lot of that area, we can actually control those traffic lights at Military and Johnson. So say we get a call, we can turn that green for us and turn the other ones red. So we have priority going through that intersection, going that way. So there's like right now, we have a traffic light in front of our current fire station. So we get a call, we turn that red. So we do have potential, once this is open, we can control those lights and with flow on the way, which way we're going and stuff like that. So we get a call, we know it's going to be going north. It can be initiated by dispatch. It could be initiated by us. We'll get that green light. So once we get that call, the light's green, traffic's moving. So we'll get that traffic moving. So time we get in and start our wheels rolling, the traffic should be clear for us going that way.
I had this vision of a line of parents waiting to pick up their kids, and you're trying to get through a line of, and maybe that doesn't happen. I'm not familiar with the traffic flow, but that was kind of the broader question. The lights, I know we can control. Can we control parents?
And most likely we'll probably be adding a traffic light to the south there just on Johnson. So we can control traffic going to the north and keeping it from going in front of the station as we're pulling out.
And this is,
So we're looking at options.
yeah, and the site plan you're seeing is representative of us architects playing civil engineer. We do for sure have a civil engineering teammate that's going to be coming on board, and we've kind of asked a lot of these same questions, just where this even made sense. You know, first question is, where do they want to egress out? What makes the quickest access for them? Clearly getting as close to the intersection of Johnson Military was kind of a desire. We initially had even looked at a access right to the Fremont Drive, Johnson Road. That was something that Chief wanted to stay out of, just in fact for some of that school traffic and those times of days. But I know once our civil engineer teammates come on board here and really start developing this with their own drawings of the site and site developments, I think we're going to dive deeper and deeper into all these questions for sure, and figuring that out if there needs to be supplemental traffic signals, warning signs, whatever that may be, just to make sure that there can be a clearance lane for any of those stacked up times, school or otherwise, that may prevent or present obstacles on Johnson Road there.
Woman Gannon? Yep.
No, and I don't have any other additional questions, but I was excited to see that you've planned for the future. And you alluded to that, and you want this to be like about a 75-year building, but the drawings include a future bay, and I'm glad that there's space that it can be expanded as we expand. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. We, and that's part of the reason why when I was talking the apparatus, bay support space is kind of in this chunk here. If people can see that drawn on screen, that those rooms could happen theoretically on that side of the bay, and often do. The apparatus bay. We bigger picture layouts of the concept plans is getting that right with the chief and the department, knowing that they don't want to hem themselves in to ever, yes, it's a 3-bay station now. There's some immediate growth and function of growth there. But what about the 50, 70 years out if this all of a sudden needs to become a 4th bay or those types of things? So very thoughtfully laid out, and kudos to Chief Byrne for thinking through kind of all the future flexibility growth that he may need at the station.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lathrop?
I too want to say that I think this is a great plan. And going back to the traffic, personally, the Johnson Road military would be the least of my worries. I would worry more about military and Luther Road, because that backs up all the way to First Lutheran Church on after school and before school. I know because I get stuck in it often.
Well, good comment. And I think that's part of, so the drive we show it off military isn't necessarily a critical serving drive or pathway. It's a return drive. So obviously the time, the getting them out, response call urgency is leaving out forward. Not to say we don't want to return them as fast as we can too. So we have two options. We have the military return drive, but then there's also the access lane, drive through lane, let's call it, around the host tower and around the back too. So if at any point military is backed up, if Johnson Road's backed up, there's kind of that secondary valve of both returning, or even if they needed to for some disaster reason, Johnson Road, they could certainly leave out and egress out on military as well. So we try to make kind of the dual function of if there was a worst case scenario on either of those two roads.
I do understand both of those exits and entrances. I think Chief Byrne understands my comment about military and Luther. And
Sure.
how far back up that gets, and I know you're addressing it.
One thing on the site plan there, we actually have, there's a spot we have a burn trailer. It's actually a training trailer. It's actually, we've had that for maybe 23 or so years. We actually got that with some grant money, and it's actually offsite, and it's on DU property right now. So it's not being used very often. By having it on that property, we can actually be using it a lot more than we normally do now. So by having it on site, we can actually go out there and do some training on it. I know a lot of people commented in the past about our burn trailer and doing live fire burns actually on site. And when the plan is we need to put quite a bit of money into this burn trailer. So we're looking years down the road for it's actually on site. but it will be used for some burning. And some people have concern if it's on site that it's going to create a lot of smoke. When we do train with that, it's going to be small fire burns, just really so our new firefighters can get learning how to use the patterns to put out a fire and handling a hose and stuff like that. But majority of our training will be really non-fire burning training in that trailer. I just wanted to let you know that, because I know we've had some people, if the burn trailer's on site, how much smoke is it going to create, stuff like that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
If I could, Mr. Mayor, I would just point out
Go
that
ahead.
the several of the drawings that Brennan was showing us, like the one up on the screen now, those are actually right here in the council chambers on the poster boards to the
Okay.
right and left of the council.
Thank you. Okay, I'll open public comment on this. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Councilman Vaughn,
If no other discussion, make a motion to receive.
Councilman Jensen,
And I will second.
My motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
okay, item 13, 2025-285, providing notice of vacancy in City Council Ward 2 and authorizing the city clerk to publish a notice of vacancy. Staff?
Honorable Mayor, City Council, Michael Chatterson, City Clerk. This just provides formal notice to the public that there is a vacancy in Ward 2 due to Mayor Sukram assuming the role following Fremont Municipal Code Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 2-204, and Nebraska Revised Statute 32-568. So this provides formal notice to the public. We will be accepting letters of interest and resumes for the interested individuals to fill the unexpired term until December of 2028, and those can be received until December 2nd. So you can address those to the City Hall. I can take any questions.
Living Council? Okay, open public comment on this. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Councilman Horner?
Yeah, Mayor, if there are no further comments from council, I was just going to make a motion that we approve resolution 2025-285.
Motion by Horner. Lathrop,
Second.
cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Okay, item 14, 2025 resolution 2025-294 awarding contract to Muth Electric, Inc. for the 2025 traffic signal improvement project in the amount of $1,173 and $876.
Mayor, Council, Dan Gillis, Director of Public Works. Thank you for your time. This is to approve the next phase of the traffic improvements, the traffic signal improvement projects to start this next construction season. This one, we got 5 bids in, so that's pretty good competition. Our numbers came in, as you see on the staff report there, just over $1 million. This project includes Lincoln and 23rd, Broad and 23rd, Somers and 23rd, Clarkson and Military. So I think those intersections have been approved in the past, so no change there. Budget, just want to talk about budget a little bit. Original budget was apparently $850,000 for this project. So because I want to say Somers was added late, I think the estimate was just over $310,000 add for the construction, and I think another 40 or so for the design work for it. I think that's a complete replacement of those signals and everything at that intersection. So to compensate for that, The extra dollars are gonna come from some other budget line items, for sort of standard maintenance or contingency repairs for streetlights over FY 26 and 27. Those, I think, each had an approved line item at $150,000 each. And that puts us pretty close. So I think the remainder is another like $23,000 or so. So we'll have to make that up in some other project savings. But that is it. This is to award the project to Muth to get started here in the spring.
Comments from council? Councilman Jensen?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the Summers project. Now, what exactly does that include? I know we've talked about different things there.
Sure. So I understand there's been a lot of conversation about that intersection. It's been operating as a four-way stop since I want to say mid-2024. Those traffic lights that are there are what we call hard broke. So basically the parts to fix those aren't really made anymore. So to get traffic lights at that intersection, it's a full replacement of all those traffic lights, and then timing and programming and everything.
Any other comments? Councilman Peterson?
Thank you. Hi, Dan. I just a quick question. I understand a lot of our traffic lights are maybe should be at the Smithsonian. I think they're getting kind of gray, but so moving forward with this project, these should be in it. As you said, with the fire station, 75 years. I mean, who can tell? But we're looking for the long haul. We're spending this kind of money. Hopefully, this is going to get us way down the road.
Yeah, I'm an architect. I have 16 years of work doing federal projects. The last 3 years, I've at Offutt, I think I averaged about 100 or 110 active construction projects at any one time, valued at about $110 million. So I've got some experience. I'm not a traffic expert yet, but I'm getting there. So I don't know what the life cycle of traffic signals are, but yes, these are going to be full replacements. And the best thing about all of these, I think we have 3 phases of this project, is that they're hitting all your main intersections. And so it should bring all those traffic signals up to current standards and I think operable in the foreseeable future. I think they're going to do better at optimizing traffic and minimizing accidents. So yes, I can't give you a timeline, but I will work to get a little smarter at traffic types of equipment. Sure.
Councilwoman Lathrop?
I want to thank you also for including the Summers and 23rd Street lights. I know we did vote on that, but want to thank you for that. I heard some rumblings of maybe a petition going around out in Washington Heights to get that light back. And I said, no, hold off, it's coming. And then I also heard today that because of the heights, that apparently the traffic on that intersection has increased quite a bit from what I was told out there today. So that'll be a great light to have again.
Good things about the heights.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll open a public hearing. Public comment, I mean. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. I'll take a motion from council. Councilwoman Ganem?
I move we accept resolution 2025-294, allowing the city to accept and award the bid to Muth Electric for the 2025 traffic signal improvements project in the amount of $1,173,000 and $876.10.
Councilwoman Lathrop?
And I second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 6 yeas, 1 nay, Mayor.
Item 15, Resolution 2025-298, awarding contract for engineering design services for Substation G to Substation B, transmission line relocation to HDR Engineering, Inc. in the amount of $249,841.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. In the cities or the utilities capital improvement plan, we have we're gonna move one of the transmission lines from going down Luther Road out to the highway that had been approved by council. We were awarded about a $2 million grant for that project on about a $6 million, $5 to $6 million project when it's all completed. This is the first phase of it, is trying to get the engineering in place to get all of the design work done to build the transmission line and get it moved out onto the highway. So we went out for bids. We asked for 4 bids, only got 2 back. One was from HDR and one was from Olson. Engineering staff reviewed the bids and determined HDR was most complete in their bid proposal, and they're the lowest price bid. So they're recommending HDR to do this engineering project, or do this for this project. Happy to take any questions.
Any comments? Council?
Thank you.
Take comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll close that and come back to council. Councilman Von Baron?
If there are none, I'd make a motion to approve resolution 2025-298.
Councilman Horner?
I'll second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Okay, item 16, resolution 2025-299, authorizing the placement of no parking anytime signs on east side of North Wyoming Avenue from West Dakota Street to West Jones Drive.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good to see you all. This one is, staff has been, spent some time this past fall reviewing traffic patterns and congestion in the area specific to Wyoming, out there between Jones and Dakota. As park usage is upticked, which is great, and events at the school, it really was double-sided parking, street parking on that area. It's caused a problem that has been brought to our attention. We've spent significant time studying and placing temporary signage out there this fall. And it was effective, being able to regulate to single-sided parking. So we're asking for your approval to place these series of no parking anytime signs. It is on the residential side. The reason we have selected that is that the other side is a lot of these events at the park have families, small children. We don't want them parking on the opposite side and then running across to the park. So this just generally improves safety and access for emergency services in the area.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Carrie, thank you for bringing this one forward into fruition. I know I got a lot of phone calls after that whole thing over the summertime with the soccer and so forth. And I think this is a great solution. I mean, it's a public space. We want to leave it a public space. We want to welcome the people from outside the community in and showcase, Fremont. My only question is, how was it received from residents? I mean, somebody's ultimately going to get a sign in their, kind of not in their front yard, but kind of in front of their house. How was that received? Has folks been okay with it?
Sure. The feedback that we've gotten so far has been positive. There's less encroachment on driveways and things like that as well. So it did alleviate the congestion of all of the parking on that side, and in moving it just simply across the street still leaves adjacent parking for those homeowners in the area as well.
Any other comments? Thank you. I'll take comments from public. Seeing none, I'll come back to council. Councilman Horner?
Mayor, if there are no further comments, I will happily recommend that we approve resolution 2025-299, authorizing the placement of no parking signs on the east side of North Wyoming Avenue.
Councilman Vaughn?
And I will second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Item 17, resolution 2025-301, awarding professional service agreement to Olson in connection with the parallel taxiway rehabilitation in the amount of $555,285.
Mayor,
Staff.
council members, Dan Gillis, Director of Public Works. This is a good news story. When I walked in the door approximately 4 weeks ago, we weren't sure if we had the budget for this grant. Thanks to some hard work and carving out almost an entire day from our finance director, we were able to sharpen our pencil and discover that we were indeed funded well enough to press forward with the city portion of this project. It's a taxiway replacement, which is needed. Taxiway's in bad shape right now. And so the short story here is that it's about a $3.7 million project that the city's going to get for about $110,000 of city portion of that. So it's great. We were, because of the budget, not being too sure about the budget, we're a little bit behind our submittals. The state and the FAA wanted us to have an executed engineering agreement by the end of October. That's what this will do, is provide us that. I have spoken with the state, and they're actually pleased that we vetted it very well with the finance department, and that we're able to proceed with this project. So being late doesn't push us out, but they were starting to get concerned. So if we don't meet these timelines, then they start getting concerned that we're not going to be able to obligate the federal dollars on the federal timeline. So this will get us to the next step and get Olson started going on the design. We have to produce a 90% design by the end of January. So the sooner we get this going with the Olson and Associates, the better. And then we're looking for bids by mid-February, and we submit the grant application to the FAA in April. So effects of the sharpening our pencil pushes apron expansion out maybe a year or two. That was on the budget, but I don't know that there was a really a plan to fund it. So there was no grant dollars tied to it. So not sure we would have been able to afford that anyway. And then we're sort of working out the timeline with what's called the state fly-in. We were some locations shifted, and we were kind of selected this year for the state fly-in. It's an event where other aircraft fly into the airport there. We may or may not have to push that out, depending on the timeline of construction here. That fly-in was scheduled for June. We'd like to have it, but we'll see what that schedule looks like. So details of the agreement here are that the services will cost $555,285. And again, the 3% of the city's share of that is going to be $16.5 million over that.
Any questions from council? Thank you.
Thank you.
Take public comment on this. Seeing none, I'll come back to council. Councilman Jensen?
If there's no further comment, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-301.
Councilman Vaughn?
Enthusiastic second before they take it back.
Cast your votes.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
I'll take a motion to adjourn. Councilman Horner?
I will make that motion.
Councilman Jensen?
Second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Okay, we are adjourned.